Today we're going to talk about foot pain, we're going to talk about toe walking and ADHD, autism, different things like that. We're going to talk about balance issues and how all of these things are related. They're not all the same thing, they don't all present with the same symptoms, but they're all related. We're going to talk about the mechanisms behind it. We're going to talk about what you can do about it. I'm Dr. Jeff Cumrow, Better Life Chiropractic and Wellness, and over the past 15 years, I've had the pleasure of working with thousands of people. And ultimately what we do in our office is we work to optimize the hardware and the software. We want to get the brain and body balanced and optimized as well as they can function, but we also have to get those energetic systems optimized to supply that. Just like having a sports car. If you have the sports car, you don't have any gas, it doesn't do you any good, right? We've got to have the sports car, we have to have the gas to actually get that performance. And the body is the same exact way. We have to have the brain and body function, and we have to have the energetic systems to supply them with. So we're going to work on some drawings today. I'm going to guarantee you without fail that my drawings are not going to be as good as what I would like them to be to communicate this, because not all of this stuff is the easiest to draw. So just bear with me. I think I'm going to be able to do a decent enough job that we'll all get a good idea of what's going on, but I'm more Picasso than Van Gogh, right? So work with me on that. So when we talk about foot pain, when we talk about toe walking, all of those different things, ultimately it's important to understand a couple of things. It's important to understand the foot anatomy itself because, you know, in foot pain, a lot of people look at the feet. They go and they work with orthotics. They go and they see a podiatrist. They do different things for their feet, but they don't necessarily look at the other parts of the body. And it's important to look at these other parts. We're going to understand better after this video how all of that stuff relates, what we can do to optimize our outcomes on this, make it more efficient to get to that next level. So first thing we're going to look at is just real simple, and this is about the ability of my drawing, so bear with me. So when we have somebody standing, this is obviously exaggerated because the knee bend wouldn't be this extreme, but we want to have their weight right above their heels, right? These are obviously their feet. Where we see a lot of people run into trouble is their balance is more back like this, and then they have to come forward here, and then their feet are out here. So you end up with the head being over the heels, but their weight isn't over the heels, right? And to actually make this work, you usually have to be at a little bit more of an angle so that it's back like this, and the weight is more over the toes themselves rather than the heels. That puts a lot of stress on the foot. The foot wasn't really designed for that, right? As you might remember, let me clear all this out real quick. Didn't think of all the little spots delaying that there. So if we look at the foot, it's just essentially a spring, right? This is what absorbs the forces on our foot. And if we use it correctly, then we get the force right here in the center, and it absorbs the stress the way that it's supposed to. When we don't have things working correctly, say we carry our weight too far forward on this spring, we end up with all of the forces being put right here, or right here, or somewhere forward on the forefoot here where it shouldn't be. This puts pressure in areas that aren't designed to handle that. Our body is no longer efficient in allaying those forces, and so we drive it more into the muscles, we drive it more into the joints, we drive it into other areas that aren't designed for this constant stress. Now when we look at the anatomy of the foot, it's made of a few different things. And that we're going to look at more of the bony structures here than the muscles. The muscles are going to tighten up. If you can't allay the forces with the systems that are designed to, you're going to put more stress on the muscles. There are other things underneath that can tighten up or not move correctly because of that muscular tightness. There are other things underneath that can tighten up, due to that. So when we look at the foot, we've got a big variety here, and just bear with me here. Like I said, my drawing is not great, but it's going to be good enough to get the point across. So there's your foot. When we look at the bones through the forefoot here, we've got 4 little bones here, and we've got a couple of bones back in here that are designed to move across each other, to allay the forces. These are the bones that go out to the toes from here, right? And the big thing is, as we bring the weight forward onto the forefoot here, it allows these things to move in different ways. It minimizes their fluidity. They don't have that smooth slide across each other anymore. So you end up getting things locked up either through the metatarsal heads here or through these cuneiform bones right through here. Either way, that forefoot ends up getting locked up. It no longer slides across each other, and they end up jamming together. This causes a lot of pain, right? What happens when you end up in pain? You get muscle tightness, either because things are not moving correctly, or you get muscle tightness to protect you so you're not jamming them things together as much because you don't want injury to happen, right? So either way, you get a lot of tightness through here. Now, how does all of this stuff relate, and what can we do for it? Now, first of all, we have to get this part of the foot moving correctly again, right? So let me clear out some of the junk here. We have to get this area through here moving better again. And there's a variety of ways we can do this. You know, moving your foot in a variety of different ways. You can use your hands to move things around a little bit. There's different ways to get these things moving. But orthotics in and of themselves can be beneficial, but do they work for everybody? No, not at all. Why? Because if they can't get the forces back into, so basically we have our spring again. If we can't get the forces back into the center, then it doesn't matter. It's not going to work for you. If we don't get these moving, even if we get this back here, still not going to work for you, right? It's going to work to a lesser extent anyway. It might work to some degree. It might minimize the pain. It might give you a little bit more time on your feet before you get that next level, but it's not going to take away the pain completely, right? There's still going to be problems because we don't have function. And that's ultimately, once again, what we have to look at. What are the bigger issues that underlie this? Now, again, we talked about having, you know, somebody who is leaned forward a little bit. And this is what toe walking is, right? You've got to walk a little bit more on your toes because you've got that extra pressure on your toes. So we see a lot in ADHD, in autism, different things like that. There's vestibular issues, and vestibular system is just the sensation of motion. Their balance is thrown off. So balance training is something that can work really, really well for this. It can bring them back into a position where, you know, that's not what I wanted. Poor drawing. It brings them into a position where they're back to balanced, right? That's good enough. You understand what I'm trying to draw there. So arms would be up here. This is their pelvis. So, but you got a straight line between their neck, their pelvis, and their heels. It brings that balance back. They feel like they're falling backward, so they lean forward. And we see this in a lot of people. Like, I have people that come in every single day, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, does not matter, that do not realize how bad their balance actually is. We put them on a computerized testing system, and a lot of times they will show that their balance is poor. When I ask them, do you have any balance issues? They do not. Why don't they have any balance issues? Because they have the musculature to overcome that, right? Their muscles are strong enough and fast enough that they don't have problems. They don't have falls. They don't have leans, different things like that. Now, as they get sick, as they age, as they, you know, have overwhelming stress, different things like that, all of a sudden they've got vertigo or they start falling over or different things like that because their musculature is no longer able to counteract that. So balance training can be an amazing thing for feet. The other thing that can happen that can lead to this type of situation over here is our pelvis can rotate anteriorly. So if we look at a pelvis, it should be, you know, just kind of a heart type of situation. What we see in balance issues is this top part rotates forward and you end up with a little bit more of this type of situation. So it gets off balance. What happens when that happens? Your pelvis rotates forward, so your upper body comes forward as well. You get more of a situation like this. And again, same thing on the feet. As you bring your weight forward, you move that pressure from right here in the middle, you move it up here into the front. That puts odd stresses on here. So we have to look at multiple different things when we're looking at foot pain. There are so many people that are just trying orthotics. They're just trying something for their feet. Just like I talked the other day, pain can be a secondary, it can be a tertiary, it can come from so many different levels on this. We have to be able to put the full picture together of what is causing this. When we have the pelvis rotated like this, we don't stride out the same. We land differently on this foot. So not only are we carrying the weight when we're still, we're carrying the weight differently when we land. Same thing with toe walking. They start to land different, they carry weight different on the foot, and it puts a lot of added stress on other parts. So it might be balance, it might be hips, it might be calves, it might be feet. There are so many different aspects to this. And that is why people struggle with foot pain. And until we get the answer to that, we don't have a resolution of that, right? And that's the thing that's frustrating. I see so many people that are spending thousands of dollars on orthotics, and then they're frustrated at the end. And the feet are a part of the problem, but we've got to look at functionality as a whole. We've got to look at balance. We've got to look at all of these other systems to make sure that we're actually getting to the root of the problem. And when we get to the root of the problem and we understand the underlying mechanisms, we better know how to treat that. And when we better know how to treat that, you get the result that you're looking for. So I hope that this helps you. As always, if you have questions, reach out to me. Either comment on socials, like or subscribe on YouTube, or just drop me a line. So if you have questions, I'll talk to you soon. Either way, I love and appreciate you guys. I know your attention is your most valuable resource, and I appreciate you spending some of it with me. But yeah, I will catch you on next week's video.